This is a story I heard from my friend at university. A man, let's call him K, got whiplash in a car accident and decided to convalesce at home for a week. K was married, but his wife was also working, so he was all alone during the day. For the first few days, he enjoyed the freedom, but when the third day came, boredom began to set in. Still, he had to stay in because an injury kept him from going anywhere. Then one day past lunchtime, he was watching TV absent-mindedly when he heard heavy stamping noises and children's voices from upstairs. He didn't pay much attention to it, although he wondered if they were on a school holiday. The next day, he again heard the same children's voices, around the same time as the previous day. It sounded like they had two children up there. The place where Kay lived was a large apartment block, but in spite of that, it tended to be very quiet during the day. The children's voices, therefore, echoed loudly in the contrast to the quietness of the surroundings. Kay, however, did not feel annoyed, but was rather glad of the distraction and a break it gave him from the eerie silence. The next day, Kay, feeling bored and not motivated enough to cook lunch, ordered some pizza. The pizza, which arrived within 30 minutes, turned out to be too much for Kay that he left one whole pizza untouched. Usually he would keep any leftovers for his wife, but this time he remembered about the children upstairs and, willing to do something kind, he decided to take the pizza to them. Kay had no idea who the occupants of the rooms upstairs were, but rang the doorbell anyway. He heard something stir inside, but there was no answer. He rang the bell again. He felt someone was looking at him through the peephole. "Who is it?" a faint voice called out from behind the door. Kay explained that he was from the room below and that he had some pizza left from lunch and wondered if they wanted it. The door opened a crack. It looked unusually dark inside the room. From the gap about 5 centimeters wide, a woman appeared, revealing only half her face. "Thank you very much, but we don't want it," the woman said coldly. It was a little too dark to discern her facial expressions. Kay suddenly felt he was somehow out of place, like he shouldn't be there. However, he tried to explain to her that he wanted her to give the pizza to the children. A lukewarm air breezed out the door. He smelt an unpleasant odor. In an instant, two children's faces lined up below the woman's face. The door was still open only a crack. The dull eyes of the children stared at him. The three faces were forming a line. "I see, then. I will accept your kindness," the woman said. When Kay put the pizza box through the gap, a hand reached out right from the side and snatched it away. The three faces were still staring at Kay. "Thank you," he heard the faint voice again. Kay quickly left the place. He felt spooked. In the corner of his mind, he sensed something was seriously wrong. The image of the children's faces had left a burning impression in his mind. Faces. He felt a chill down his spine. Faces. They were forming a line. His pace quickened. He wanted to get away as fast as he could. He waited for the lift, but it would not arrive. Forming a line vertically on top of each other. He pressed the button again and again, but the lift still did not come. He turned to the emergency stairs. His head throbbed with pain. He began to feel nausea. Just as he opened the heavy door leading to the emergency stairs, he felt eyes on his back. Turning around, he glimpsed about 10 meters from him the same three faces looking at him from the corner of the corridor. Like before, they were showing only the half of their faces and staring at him with their dull eyes. The cold daylight shining through the windows illuminated their faces. No longer caring about his neck, he frantically ran down the stairs. Although the health-conscious Kay often used stairs instead of a lift and could even run up 4 floors in one go, he felt as if no matter how fast he ran, he would never reach the ground floor. Faces lined up on top of each other. That's impossible. That means there are no bodies. And the strange things I saw behind the faces were hands holding up the heads. He ran into the nearest convenience store and asked the people there to call the police. The police came and searched the flat and found the bodies of the mother and children in the bathtub. These bodies were headless. According to their findings, it had been 3 days since the heads had been chopped off the bodies, and the husband, who turned out to be the murderer, was found hiding in the wardrobe. insane. He insisted his family was still alive. There was a terror in his eyes. The police did not know the source of his terror, but Kay knew. A girl made up a story and published it on the internet as a true story. The story went like this. There was a park where if you went, you would see a boy always playing on his own. He would say to you, "Let's play together." If you answered yes, you would be killed, but if you answered no, you could go home safe. The story quickly spread among children. One day, the same girl went to a park and saw a boy actually playing there. The boy said to her, "Let's play together." The girl thought nothing of it and casually replied, "Yes." And the girl died. This happened a few years back on a New Year's Day. All night long I had been out with my friends. When I came home in the morning, I just collapsed on my bed. Then I had a dream in which I was aware I was dreaming. In the dream, I was walking home and somehow all around me, on things like telephone poles and walls, posters had been put up with such words as "value your life" and "no use crying over spilt milk" in black calligraphic writing. The street I was walking in was totally deserted, and moreover, something that looked like blood was splattered all over the place. I was thinking, God, this is some creepy dream. I kept walking and was nearly home when my mother woke me up. She had a very serious look on her face and said, "Don't sleep in this room." "Why?" I asked. She replied, "Right now they have a hotoke-sama, dead person, lying right above your room." We lived in an apartment block. I wondered if that was why I had a strange dream. Afterwards, when we were eating osechi, a New Year's dish, my father uttered, "It was a suicide apparently. He jumped from a building." When I heard that, I was really spooked. Did he regret his rash decision after he jumped? It had been a week since my colleague stopped coming to work without leave. When I went to his place to check on him, I found him lying on his bed hiding under covers. I asked what was wrong and he replied, "That woman over there says I mustn't go out." I had looked at where he pointed, then I saw in the narrow crevice only a few centimeters wide between the fridge and the wall, a long-haired, paper-thin woman was staring at us. It was a cold night at the end of March. A man sat praying in front of a delivery room. "Please God, save my wife and child." The man's wife was having a cesarean section. She had always been physically frail and they didn't know if she could survive the operation. Throughout the night, the man continued to pray for his wife and unborn baby. After what seemed like an eternity, the door to the delivery room swung open. The doctor appeared at the door saying, "It was a very complex operation, but both your wife and child survived. Congratulations." The man, crying with joy, rushed into the delivery room. However, what he saw inside was his wife laying dead in a pool of blood on the operating table, and his child who had dropped dead on the floor. "April Fools!" shouted the doctor behind him. Late one night, after working overtime in an office, a man called F picked up a taxi. The taxi driver was a friendly man, and for a while they merrily chatted away. Sometime later, the taxi began to climb up a dark hill. Now woods surrounded them on both sides, and there was no other car around. Then the taxi driver suddenly said to F in a serious tone of voice, "Listen, in this place, you mustn't look outside the windows. Got it?" F was perplexed at the driver's abrupt change of mood, and "yes" was all he could reply. The taxi drove on through the woods. F began to feel uneasy and asked the driver, "Why shouldn't I look outside?" But the driver didn't answer. F was getting creeped out. It was just then he heard a strange groan coming from outside of the window beside him. F was startled and looked at the window in spite of himself. Then he saw spread out on the window a large angry face. When it saw F, it cried, "You are not the one." F lost consciousness immediately and could not remember what happened afterwards. Apparently, on that road on the hill, there was a hit and run accident long ago which had left one man dead, and the killer was still at large. Since then, the dead man had been appearing on the road every night, looking for his killer.
Sinister vids, sinister voices. Yo. Action-packed Black Mac 10, Jr. and his friend, not a pot to piss and starving brothers on a mission. 2:30, brilliant plan to route a toll booth, GW Bridge, got the weapon concealed, nothing to lose. They choose to break the rules at all costs, stick them in Jersey, hit the other side to New York, black and red leather suits and black biker boots. One got the gun, the other one controls the motorbike, adrenaline pumping, dreams of cash. Anybody try to stop them getting lead in their face, believe that. Black Pack.